See Squatter Camp out there. Pro Kid is one of the people that were discovered.
So you grew up on Squatter Camp as well?
Yeah.
Shit, man. Same here.
They actually are the reason why because I was always a solo artist. I mean, I was in a group before I got with Teargas. Like, I was a duo with a homeboy of mine from back home. But, things didn't work out. And then I just, started fully exploring, the solo thing. And I wasn't fully confident in it until when we saw Squatter Camp and the success back in the day. And there was a H2O, there was Hidden Force, and all these guys, Murafi, and we're sitting there, all right, cool, so maybe the group thing makes sense. So, and then when we wanted to get into the game, myself, MacG, and Teargas, because they were a duo as brothers, we met up with a dude who was our first manager. So did
you meet them at VUT?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I actually found MacG there, and Teargas came a year after me. So anyway, that whole friendship turned into a business when we met this dude who was our first manager. And he was like, all right, cool. So, I mean, I see you niggas. I mean, you guys are, as brothers, you are solid. I mean, I like homie too as an individual, which was me. But I feel like we can kill two birds with one stone if you guys come together as a group. And you start off your careers like that, and then you can always explore the solo thing, later on. And it made sense because we didn't have enough resources. So the little capital that we had, we started just injecting it into kicking off the group's career. And that's how everything started.
What is your first song as Teargas?
Chance. Yep.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Yes, dude.
That's the record that got us the deal.
Yeah. Because that was a smash. As soon as you heard it on radio, you're like, no, that's Teargas.
Yeah, so that's the first record that we recorded as a group.
Yeah.
And a few more others. But that's the one that got us the deal.
I like Slow Warm. I think that's one of my favorite from you guys.
Sir,
man.
Yes, sir. That was a game-changing record. I mean, we were doing the singing shit or the melody thing before people were even doing it in hip-hop. Everyone was still too concerned with the bars. We did that shit before the Drakes and them.
Was it a conscious decision to do that?
Yeah. The reason why we made that record, I was listening to So Paid by Akon.
So Paid. So Paid.
Yeah. And when I heard that shit, I'm like, wait, because he put it out shortly after his first concert here, right? I'm listening to the chord progression, and I'm like, nah, this shit sounds like this nigga took some shit from, one of the old golden oldies from out here.
Wow.
The progression that almost sounded like there was an artist from back in the day, who I knew his music, based on because it's something that my folks would play at the house and stuff, on Sunday, that jazz shit.
Yeah.
There was an artist called Rex Rabani. So I'm So Paid actually sounds progressively like one of his records.
Wow, I never knew that.
So I'm like, nah, this nigga took this shit from out here. I don't care who says what, right? And then, boom, when we heard that, I'm like, this is so dope. Maybe we should try it as well, because Akon always came across as, all right, cool, so he's singing, but we embraced him as hip-hop as well, back in the day. So I was like, all right, cool, let's try this shit. And then Teargas made the beat, actually.
Okay.
He made the first draft, and then I took it to Afro Traction. Shout out to the homie. And then Afro Traction actually built it and made it sonically correct. The keys and everything else. And then we recorded it. The guys, MacG and Teargas, were the first ones to lay their verses on there, right? But it was rap verses, right? And then I came in and I recorded the hook. And my hook was melodic. And I'm like, yo, actually, fuck all that. Fuck the rapping, bro.
Yeah.
I say we all just like do the melody thing on this record.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Let's flip it.
Yeah. So and then that's how we switched it up, and then it came out the way that it did. It actually was almost like a mockery. You know, it was like a gimmick, and it was some shit that we were just like thinking, all right, cool. So we just like fooling around in the studio.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make it sonically right still, and that's how that record came about.
And how were you guys in studio? How did you guys work? Like, were there any egos, or everybody knew their place?
Now everyone knew their place. We respected each other as a unit, you know, and always kept it a buck. You know, I mean, whether that individual was taking, making note of what the other two members were saying or not, but we always kept it 1,000% with one another. Like, yo, okay, that verse is cool, but maybe you can come up with a better one.
And nobody caught feelings.
I mean, it would happen. I mean, naturally as an artist, you know, when your peers tell you stuff is subpar, you know, you will genuinely, you know, catch feelings, but you need to understand that it comes from a place of love, you know, and then you go back in, because at the end of the day, what I think a lot of guys these days suffer from is they can't take criticism, because especially if it's not like destructive, you know,
constructive.
So they can't take it because they just think like, all right, cool. One of the people that you had on the show, Caesar, for instance, he's been very involved in a lot of stuff. I'm
so shocked to watch my show.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's been very involved in some of the stuff that when I worked on my solo album, when it was kind of Republic, when we did Kara Kara, because we were just going around and just like getting people's opinions and stuff before we put it out. You know, we went to DJ Spoo, we went to Caesar. I don't remember who else we went to, but Caesar was like, yo, this is a hard joint. But like, you know how that record actually, how we ended up having...
Can I have some water there, bro?
Yeah.
Two waters. Yeah.
How we ended up having that Puma Watch right at the beginning. That was Caesar's idea.
You're kidding!
Yeah.
Caesar Slomo.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always trusted his opinion.
And that's the signature of the song. Once you hear that, you know this is Karakat.
One time. You know what I mean? So, I've always trusted his ear and his opinion. Sometimes, as harsh as it is, you know, I'll actually see, if he says it's not going to work, I know somewhere, somehow, this shit's not going to work. You know, so I've always trusted his opinion on that level. And then actually, even with Super Duper, for instance, he was like, yo, this is the song.
Wow.
You know what I mean? This is gonna do really well. And I'm like, all right, cool.
And it's popping.
If I've got your opinion and your stamp of approval, then I know I'm in the right place. And
do you give him royalties for that?
He's my guy. And he's rich, so he doesn't need my royalties.
Dude, tell me about the game that time, when Teargas was popping compared to now. Yeah. Are you making more money now, or was it lit back then, bro?
Nah, it wasn't lit, bro. It wasn't that lit, because back then hip hop was still in its infant stages. You know,
it was a niche. It was for niche market.
Not necessarily niche. Sorry, because once the pitch black afros and the that water do me some good. So when Squatter Camp got the deal, first major deal through Gallo and the Selvins and the Proverbs and the Pro Kids and all of them, it shifted the paradigm, you know, of the culture. So, yes, guys were not necessarily, you know, making as much money as, you know, some of the guys that are now, but it actually just like proved that there's an actual business in SA hip hop, right? They were filling up venues and performing same, you know, festivals as the Mendozas and the Brixes back in the day. So the opportunity to make money was there already, you know. It just all depended on how you were moving as a guy, as an artist. where you are business savvy enough, you know. So one of the reasons why now guys are seeing a lot more money is because there's a corporate buy-in. You know, there is a lot of independent guys who own their masters, who own their publishing. So when a big deal comes through, it's not like there's another guy that needs to. There's no middleman or any dumb shit like that. You know? So you are.
Those are things of the past.
Yeah. So you're not being raped by the label saying, "All right, cool. So, Vodacom wants to use song XYZ." So as the label, because I mean by default, actually it played out that way. Because by default, back in the day, a lot of the artists were just signing artist deals, right? And the label is risking pretty much everything, and they own the master. So when a Vodacom comes and gives you a sync deal, you're probably holding just a fraction of that check. You know what I'm saying? So now, you know, things have changed. You know, if you own your own recordings and, you know, the publishing and all that stuff. So you
like
are,
Casper with the MTN deal.
Yeah, you know, so you are most likely to see a bigger check, you know, in that whole situation.
Oh, cool, man. While you have some water then, because like you guys at the pinnacle now is Teargas, making dope music, money's coming in, everything is in place. What happened? What was the fallout about? Was it just people growing older?
You mean for us to go our separate ways?
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't really. There was no actual fallout.
Yeah.
What happened was when we were working on the last album, Number, we were not moving in unison anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember some of the last shows when we were doing, like that we did, people were saying, you guys are not gelling anymore.
Wow, there's no chemistry.
Yeah, it looks like Teargas and KO. Well, actually, it looks like MacG and KO are in sync. But Homeboy is just like doing his own thing, you know? And they would say, we can pick it up from the crowd.
So Teargas killed Teargas?
Nah, I'm not saying he killed it. No, that's not the right sentiment.
Yeah.
But like, also, what had happened at that time, when I say we were not moving in unison, Teargas had started, you know, just scratching the surface as far as him embarking on a solo journey.
Okay.
You know, when we were recording the album.
But that was always part of the plan, like you said.
Yeah, of course, you know. Me and MacG were not ready, you know, for that. Because at that time, I had done a couple of features. I had done, one of the biggest ones that I had done at the time was We Rolling with El Tito.
Smash it.
So when people heard that, it was like, yo, the interest for me to do solo stuff was sparked by that record and a couple of other records that I did and God's Will with AKA and stuff. So people were like, there was an appetite already for me to do stuff, but I was like, nah,
not now.
I'm Teargas, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
So homie pulled the trigger and started launching himself in that direction. So we felt like we were forced to also do the same. You know, he planted the seed, and I was like, all right, cool. Plus, there's this separation of some sort, like as far as the chemistry is concerned now. So maybe
do you ever bring it up though? Like, do you ever approach Homeboy and be like, "Yo, what's going on? What's happening?"
Yeah, we did. We had numerous conversations. You know, actually, one of the reasons why there was an issue, it escalated. In fact, when I mentioned to him that like what he did, he put out a full-on mixtape.
Okay.
Like shortly after the release of Number, you know, and that was our focus.
Yeah. It's your baby.
Yeah. And now there's mixtape, you know. So we felt like we didn't really have his full attention as far as the group album is concerned. And when I suggested that, like, nah, just put out one song, test the waters, you know, he felt like, because a lot of people would say, yeah, the standout guys in Teargas are KO and MacG. So he felt like
he needs to prove himself.
He wanted to prove himself. And in me saying he should just put out one single song, he felt like I was actually trying to
hold him back.
Exactly, you know.
Gotcha.
So things sort of kind of got worse from there. And then just based on that and seeing how he was starting to move alone, we also, when I started now entertaining my solo situation as well, I made the first record that I made was Mission Statement, you know, the very first one, just before the album came out. And I knew I was always gonna be all right, even as a solo artist. But I loved the group so much, and I still wanted to make sure that even when I do my thing,
they still go back.
Well, besides that, they also you know, moving in their own right. So instead of just saying, all right, cool, boom, here's my solo record, I said, let me create a situation. Let me create a situation for MacG. And that's how there's a record with Mugs, Pro Kid, and MacG by DJ Vigilante called Skelegate that came out at that time. And then there was also another record that had Kid X and Smashes. So the day when I was dropping my solo record, I was like, all right, cool, let me drop that with these, right? And then by doing that, we are announcing Cash Time Life, the new label, the new venture, right? So as much as Dukes is not physically involved in those records, he still needs to be part of Cash Time, and not as an artist, but as a co-owner. So the business was actually supposed to be split 4 ways equally, right?
Hip Hop Scholar.
It was Scholar, myself, MacG, and it was going to be Dukes. So it was going to be split that way, right? Quarter. And then he just like blatantly said he doesn't want to be part of that situation. Wow. So we ended up being the 3 owners.
That's crazy.
Myself, MacG, and Hip Hop Scholar. So, and and then that's just how everything played out.
Knowing what you know in hindsight, if you were to go back, would you change anything, or would you just let it play out the way it did?
I don't think I change anything. So many things that have affected me that have affected my core as a man, because even shortly after that, when Kara Kara started, happening, one of the craziest things was you had people talking about, because I had lost so much weight. I mean, we just talked. We just talked right now off the record, talking about how I'm back on the strict diet regimen. Yeah. And back then, I think I overdid it. So you had folks talking about, yo, this nigga's dying. He's got AIDS. You feel me?
Yeah.
But actually, with that playing out, at the heart of that rumor playing out, that's how Kara Kara shot up.
Wow.
Right? So that's a blessing. As hurtful as it was to my family and my partner at the time, you know what I mean? But it just turned out to be a blessing. So with me bringing that up, I'll say that to say I wouldn't change anything. Even some of the toughest moments that I've endured as a man in this career, in this business, down right all the way to what played out after Cash Time, where like my brand was tainted because of just like the misconception and how the label collapsed, and me coming full circle in 2019 and being able to do what I do, I wouldn't have managed to churn out the quality of the music that I've made if it wasn't for the past, the turmoil that
And the
came,
pain.
yeah, that came with the past 2-3 years.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, we wouldn't have Adele if that guy never fucked her up.
You feel me?
You know what I'm saying? Yes, that's crazy, man.